Shabbat Shalom. I know. This week's Parsha that we read, it's one of the fun ones, right? It's one they make movies about, right? This is, there's a lot of action going on. But if you think about the purpose of the Torah, you sort of wonder, why are you telling me all of this stuff, right? You know, don't mix a cow in its mother's milk. That's like one line, but I get chapters on the hail and the things in the darkness and the soot that becomes it. Why are we learning all of this? Now, one answer might be because there was no TV back then. And this was good entertainment. But I also think that the plagues are here to teach us something, obviously. And what they're here to teach us is a lesson a little bit about ourselves and a little bit about our world. Because I think we're actually supposed to sort of go along for this ride with the plagues where you are cheering them on, right? You're like, yes, oh yeah, oh here comes boils, yeah, okay, get them, darkness. No, just me? Maybe just me. But it's not really, I think, what we're supposed to feel, and it's not what God wants us to think. Because the plagues, while we sit back and read about them and they're fun and we can see the movie in our head as it's going, right? They were probably terrifying to be a part of or to be there during. And one of our medieval rabbis, the 16th century Rabbi Judah Loew, known as the Maharal, he points out that the plagues parallel creation. Each one has a parallel to the days or the speakings, the utterances of creation. And later rabbis go further to say that actually what's happening in this moment is that God is threatening all of creation. Right? Think about it. So we begin with blood, right? And it actually begins, most of the plagues, Moses shows up and says, Vaera Dam, right? Which sounds a lot like Vayihi Or. Right? The language that Moses is using itself calls back the creation of the world. Right? Begin with blood, right? Which is about the gathering of the waters. Then we get frogs and lice, which is about the creeping things that were created. Then the flies, which is the creatures of the air. We get the plague on the cattle, and after that it's the larger animals. Boils, which is about, actually all the rabbis agree boils is the one that doesn't really work with this, but give me a second here. Boils, which makes everyone unclean and is threatening human participation in the world. It's a stretch, but it's the Maharal, so it's fine. Hail is threatening the separation of the waters that God did on the second day. Locusts threaten vegetation, darkness, the separation of lights, and of course the death of the firstborn, the creation of human beings. So what's happening in this moment is not just parallelism, it's a threat. God is saying these plagues might unmake creation. We are saved by them, to be sure, but they're scary and they threaten not only the Egyptians, but everyone. They are not what we should be hoping for or waiting for. They're not how God wants us to act. And actually, as we read the narrative of the Torah, this act of potential decreation sort of bookends creation and ends the part of the Torah, all of which is not about the Torah. Because as soon as we get out of Egypt, God gives us the answer of how we're supposed to behave and what we're supposed to do, and that's the Torah. That's our laws. Right? And by the way, the Maharal says that the moment when God offers us the Torah is another moment that threatens creation. And had the people not said, we will accept and we will do this Torah, the Maharal of Prague says that the entire world would have gone back to chaos and nothingness. I'm sure he was a lot of fun at parties. But the Torah is our answer to the chaos of the plagues. We are a people not who rely on miracles, not who rely on some protective God to rain down fire. We are a people who rely on laws. We are a people who rely on one another. And the Torah's laws are an answer to what happened in Egypt. Sometimes explicitly, 39 times in the Torah, be kind to the stranger, for you are strangers in the... Yeah, exactly. Sometimes implicitly, the way the Torah asks us to behave is a way that keeps us safe. It's a way that keeps us from doing the dehumanization that was the villainy of Egypt. The fact that they could not see the Israelites as people is what the Torah comes to teach us. Laws are here to teach us to be holy, to be kind to one another, to rest on Shabbat, don't steal, don't kill. Lots of stuff about goat sacrifices and leprosy also. But we need all of these laws because as Jews, they are what have kept us Jewish. They have kept us together, and they have kept us on a path towards making this world a better place. And the world knows that this lesson as well. Laws are what keep us safe. Laws and the agreement of what we have in our society, that we can work together to be protected, both small and large, to help us grow. In a recent article in The Atlantic, Franklin Foer wrote that for all of its flaws, America, the American state and its laws have been a source of national greatness and power, ushered in an age of prosperity and discovery, and made everyday existence safer and fairer. The laws that we follow and the way that we follow them tell us what we stand for as a society. Who deserves protection? How can I get the things that I want and need? And what do I have to do for others with my time and my resources? What are our shared goals? That is what laws teach us and create for us. A society where we can feel safe and we can be together. The laws of the Torah, the laws of our people, remind us of what's important every morning. Every single morning, a Jew says, Hareini mikabel alai mitzvat borei. I accept upon myself a commandment of our Creator, v'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, to love my fellow as I love myself. Every morning, we say that before we go out in the world, and our world is a better place for it. That the Torah was given after Exodus teaches us a lesson that we need to hear. If the point of the Jewish people is just to exist, just to be, if all God cares about were Israelite safety, then we wouldn't need the desert. We wouldn't need Sinai. We would just teleport straight to Jerusalem, and God would send boils every time the Roman shows up. But that's not what happens. God gives us a Torah and says, okay, now it's up to you. Live by this. Change this when you need to. Bring other people in. It isn't enough to just exist. It isn't enough for Judaism just to be about fighting those who don't like us. We have to stand up for the Torah. We have to stand up for laws that protect us all. We have to stand up for our practice and what we believe in. We must be safe and free to be sure, but we have to protect this Torah as well. We have to make sure that the laws and the system that it tries to give us is as safe as the bodies of the Jews who live it. We have to read, we have to learn, we have to study, we have to make the Torah a part of our lives. Otherwise, friends, we are wasting this holy gift that the Torah and the sacrifice of the generations who brought it down the ages to us. Now you might say, as I sometimes think, well, Rabbi, that's all lovely and fine, but synagogues are burning. We have to keep ourselves safe. What are we going to do? But I want to end by telling you a story about that synagogue that burned down this week. And by burned, I mean was set on fire. So Perry Nussbaum was an Orthodox kid who grew up to become a Reform rabbi. He just wanted to bring congregations into more mitzvot. He had a series of pulpits, including one in Australia, and he ended up in the American South, in Jackson, Mississippi, in the 50s and 60s. He saw what was happening around him in those days, and he knew that it was wrong. We have from his writings. He started working with interfaith groups. He even joined them for prayer services, something that shocked his community and his vote to renew his contract was almost not done, he saw then people were in jail, and he ministered to freedom riders who were locked up. And through all of this, he also defended Southern Jews to Northern ones, and he tried to explain their situation and what was going on for them. He wasn't, for what we know of, big on rallies or protests or marches, but he was big on caring for others, for the rights and for their souls. And his work got the attention of his community and brought them along. It also, unfortunately, got the attention of some rather unsavory people. And in 1967, his home was attacked by the Klan. And a few months later, his synagogue was firebombed. Beth Israel of Jackson, Mississippi, the first time that it was attacked. But they rebuilt it. They rebuilt it then, and they will rebuild it today. Now, we know from his correspondence that when people tried to attribute these attacks to his community's being a proponent for civil rights, he pushed back on that. And he said, no, it's not just because we care about civil rights. He said it's because we're Jews. Anti-Semitism was real then, and it's real now. Rabbi Nussbaum lived in complicated times, and so do we. Unfortunately, the issues of those days, anti-Semitism and a question of who gets rights in this country and what this country should be about and for, those questions echo to us today. There are problems that threaten the Jewish people, and there are problems that threaten us all. And there are problems, friends, that threaten to unmake creation itself. We have to work to address them all. Now, I'm going to be honest. I think that I am more or less failing the Rabbi Nussbaum test. I worry that too many Jewish leaders are. There are, of course, times when what's right and what's wrong are muddled, but there are many times when it couldn't be clearer what the right thing to do is. And when we, our friends, and our leaders fall short in those moments, we should be told to make things better. We should be told to do better, and I will try. Our task in this world is not to wait for God to rain down plagues. Rather, it is to stand up for the Torah, for its values, and its practice in all forms. That is what God is trying to teach us with the plagues. We have to live by laws and the Torah. We have to be responsible for one another, welcome the stranger, steward the planet, and be holy before the Lord our God. We have to fight for laws that bind us to the right path and bind us to one another. And we have to all be accountable to one another. Otherwise, the very foundations of our society are at risk. It is no small task, but it is one that we have inherited from our ancestors, from Perry Nussbaum and from Moses. We have been here before, and we have the Spirit. We have the will, we have the strength to stand up and continue the work of holding this world together through our Torah, our values, and our lives. Shabbat Shalom.